Good evening and welcome to Boom Market Stock Show. This is your host Rian Hobson, and we're doing actually quite a lot of things today, which is actually the one of the big disappointment was actually the CPI numbers out of the United States. Well, we don't know in which direction the market is currently going, and honestly, I must say it is literally a heavy battle between the bulls and the bears that is currently going on. Because the forecast was actually, as I mentioned, the CPI number was forecast yesterday at 8.1. It came out about 8.3. Market expected quite a lower CPI number. Even me, myself, I was expecting a lower CPI number. Well, that is not the case. So now we're sitting in a bloody bad situation, especially for trading, because we have now a heavy fight between the bulls and the bears. And that is not just for the currency market, but that is now also for the crypto market, the indexes, that is now the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, and basically also for the commodities. So once I will actually point that out of how we will have a very terrible time of trading going forward. I think for this month of May and also the beginning of June, it will be a very, very difficult time for traders in all sectors, which is now from crypto, indexes, commodities, and also the FX market. It's not going to be an easy story, especially with today's news. Now, one thing that was actually all over the show is actually the oil price. The oil price is now up by 6%. And that has to do with this news that actually came out, which was also very confusing. I'm just actually trying to share my screen with you. So we had oil news that came out. This was not a CPI number that was released today. I'm gonna do this for last. I was looking at the crude oil inventories. Now, this was actually the forecast here. Sorry, the forecast was negative 1 million barrels. Now, it came out 8.5 million barrels, right? Now, in this instance, once you see news like this, where there is more storage or more oil in storage in the United States, then that means we will get the oil price lower because there is oil in storage. So it means the US have enough oil, and that normally put the oil prices down. Now, that was not the case actually on the market as it is today. Oil prices are up by 6%. So what the hell is going on here? You have very good oil inventories, although it shows red, but this is actually very good for the United States because it means that there's enough oil in reserves. So in inventories or in reserves, as they said. So why didn't the oil prices go down? Now, so I went and go and look. This is actually also news that came out, and this is the graph that I put out. This is Baker Hughes crude oil rigs, and then the U.S. oil production. Now, in black is the U.S. oil production. This is actually the current situation in the U.S. oil production. It is actually going down. So the oil production in the United States is actually going down. And you have actually the rig counts, it's actually stagnating. This 5557 number is being like this now for some time. So it means there's no rigs coming, new rigs actually coming on board. And on top of that, you have the oil production that is going down. Now, how is this even possible? Because you have oil production down, the rig counts doesn't improve. Now, how the hell do you have this amount of oil extra in surplus in your inventories? How the hell does that make sense? Now, this is the only logical answer. Under Biden, the US oil reserves to drop by 40%. So which means that's why we have low production, because what is currently happening, the administration, the US administration is literally selling their oil. So the guys don't have to drill oil. So they're just selling, the US government is just selling oil to the market, literally. So that's why the guys are not drilling for oil. That's why the oil rigs are not improving. That's why the oil production is not going out, because the oil is just coming from the US government. So that's why nobody's drilling for bloody oil. And that's why the oil price is actually the oil price going up, because the production is going absolutely, sorry to say that, absolutely fucking nowhere. It's going nowhere. So there's no production, or I would say a slowdown in production, slowdown in recounts, and that's why the oil prices are going up, because there's no longer production that is current, or heavy production that is currently going on, and that's why the oil prices are up by 6%. That was quite a massive bluff. To be honest with you, I actually opened up one trade, which was New Zealand and the US dollar, a very small trade. And literally, I'm not even interested in looking at it because the market is an absolute mess. And I can tell you now, this will continue until June because the Federal Reserve will talk at that time because of what is currently happening now with the CPI numbers and also the bloody oil story that is currently happening on where you have low production in the United States and you have the US government that is literally using all the reserve, selling it to the market. That's why the people are not drilling for oil in the United States. That is the situation. On the other news, Bitcoin, my man, this is actually a disaster. I'm actually looking at cryptos. I'm just actually sharing my screen here. It is a bloodbath here. I was hearing people crying of Luno. People's accounts were wiped out of Luno. And the crypto markets is terrible. You have Bitcoin here down at 4%. And you have Ethereum, which is basically my favorite one. It's down by 6%. Now, obviously, once Bitcoin goes below 30,000, then people start to panic. Now, in logic circumstances, look, as you can see, as we all know, Bitcoin trade against the US dollar. So if there's optimism that the US dollar will improve due to higher interest rates, it means that people will buy the US dollar or invest in the United States because obviously then you have to now use your money in US dollars to invest in the United States. And that's why Bitcoin is actually going down. That is now the logic that I know that is currently happening. So the demand for dollars are improving. And then you have now the story of Bitcoin that is going down. Is this the main question that I hear a whole entire day? That was now yesterday and today. Is it time to panic? Must I sell? Must I get rid of my Bitcoins? The answer is bloody no. No, 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 no. To be honest, although Bitcoin didn't now had tests in a depression or a recession and those type of things, I doubt the coin will go to zero. I actually can't say that Bitcoin for me is private money that you want to use yourself. That is how I see Bitcoin. I could be wrong, I could be right, but I see Bitcoin as private money where nobody knows shit what is going on in your life, and you just store it there in your account, in your wallet of Bitcoin. That is where you store your money. Now, for me, for people to say that Bitcoin will go to zero, that is a bit crazy. Yes, it will go down. Yes, you will get a lot of damage on that. But I honestly doubt it will go to zero like the tulip crisis, as I said the last time. That will happen. Now, also, there's another question that comes in. Dombi was asking, where's the message? I'm just going to show it now. Is it time to buy again? Look, you must have nerves of steel here. That I can tell you. I'm not saying the storm is over. Yeah. Because we will have some wild swings in the market. That is not until June. That is now where the Federal Reserve come and make a decision. Will they lift up interest rates further or not? So once you buy, you must know now you are in for one rocky situation. It could be where Bitcoin goes up to 5%. Then you are in the good books. It could be that Bitcoin can go down to about 20,000. That is where a lot of people were talking about to say Bitcoin will go to 20,000. To be honest, I actually doubt it. I know like 29,000 for me, it looks like a valid retracement for me, or I would say a crash or a technical crash, I would say, until 29,000. But it can go to 20,000, but I doubt it will go to zero. Once you buy Bitcoin or any cryptocurrencies, I would say have some nerves of steel and hold on to dear life with. To be honest, for me, Bitcoin is at the fair price now. I would definitely, I'm looking on adding more on that and just leave it as it is. I'm not, even with trading when it comes to it, I don't fiddle around much with my trades. I just buy something and I leave it. So I would advise you, just if you can, just leave it alone, buy it, close your eyes, forget about it, and leave it there. That is what I normally would say. That is now Bitcoin. And Tommy, I hope I answered your question. So that is Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum is one that I actually like a lot. So it's actually nice that it's 6% down. I'm just thinking of buying actually more on Ethereum. The other one, which is traders' favorite, is actually the indexes, and that is now your NASDAQ. Now, those questions I get a lot. Here you have your NASDAQ. It's on 12,000 now. It's down by say close to 2.5%. This was also for me a bit confusing because you have your bonds, actually, the US 10-year bond yield in the US is actually down. And normally when your bond yields are going down, that is normally the time where you see your NASDAQ actually, or your tech stocks, which is your Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta. These ones for me were supposed to climb today if your bond market, or I would say your bond yield, is actually trading a bit lower. That was not the case. So that's why, yeah, I think we can more look at tomorrow, because I think everything is for me, it looks like everything is actually trying to taste its ground. It needs to land somewhere. But as I said earlier on adding myself here back on, I personally think that this is just a correction, because on fundamentals, if you look at a bear market, like something literally crashing, especially if you look at stocks and your commodities, something needs to give about 40%, especially if you look at your S&P 500. That is the one that I normally look at. Your S&P 500 needs to be about 40% down in approximately 3 months or so. Then I would say, yay, we are in a bear market. 20%, that is now a correction. I think somewhere the market is just searching for a floor before the bulls will come back. That is what I think. If you look at a CPI number, that is what we will look at now. If you look at a CPI number, a lot of people are saying that inflation will reach, this is the peak of inflation in the United States. It will not go higher. I doubt that they are right. But they say this is the peak number of inflation, which is about 8.5, which was last month. And from there on, it will go lower. Well, there is some cracks in the market already. If you look at the housing market, the car market, the manufacturing sector, the service industry in the United States, you also see at the job claims number, that is also starting improving, so which means it could lead to about to more unemployment. There are already cracks in the US economy. And I think when it comes to inflation, also wages, the other one of wages was starting to tilting down. So you will see already cracks in the US economy where inflation is about to go down. That is what we all hope for. Now, I think that the market might think this is the peak of the US inflation, and it will actually start to simmer actually down. Unless something unexpectedly happens, which is another war or something, then we might now start to price in that as well, because inflation will go higher. But as things stands now, for me, I also think that inflation is actually reached its peak, and the Federal Reserve might not go so crazy next month, and that could actually bring back the bulls. Now, for now until June, it will be all speculation. We will speculate now on the market, which we all do every single time. We will speculate by thinking, okay, will the Federal Reserve go with 50 basis points, or with a 0.75%, or with a 0.25%? I assume the Federal Reserve will look at numerous amount of data, and especially with inflation, and they might go with another 0.5%. And I think the market already starting to know that that is the case, that they will go with the 0.5% and start to stop with start with tapering as well, and to shrink that balance sheet. So we might see that the bulls are coming back one hard wave, maybe for now until June, and we might see also the bears coming back. So we will see a constant fight, because you will have the bulls saying, inflation is not that bad, we can buy. And then you have the bears, the interest rates will go up in June. So we will have that big constant fight for the market until June, until the Federal Reserve calm everything down. The main indicator that you guys need to look at is actually the bond yields. If the bond yield starts to drop, especially for your NASDAQ guys, if your bond yield starts to drop, I think that is where you will see slightly a bit stronger NASDAQ moving. But for now, it will be a heavy fight between the bulls and the bears. I honestly don't look forward for now until June, because it will be actually a terrible time, especially if you look at the fundamentals. But for me, it doesn't look like we are actually in a bear market. We look like a correction. I doubt it can actually go lower than this. I think we might see a bit of a reversal in the equity markets and in your cryptos. And then, but it will not go now beyond of where it was of the all-time highs. I doubt that. So it will actually be a bit of a reversal until actually the Federal Reserve starts to talk. And then you will get that reversal, and then it will flatten out until actually the Federal Reserve starts to make their comments. So I hope today's show is actually helping. But I must say this news was very disappointing today, because it's literally between a rock and a hard place. I hope you guys have a lovely evening, and then I will see you guys tomorrow at 10 o'clock, at 10 a.m. That is for my radio show, where I will actually give some signals their way. So I hope you guys have a lovely evening, and then I will see you guys tomorrow at 10. Bye-bye. Oh, and thanks a lot, Ntombi, for your comment.